over here in their far eastern region. Not a macro state, but still pretty dang small in comparison to other European nations. But Czechia was victorious in their first war, which means now it's time for the second war, as they now declare war on Austria. Now, Austria actually is only a little bit stronger than Slovakia by about only 2 places, meaning that Czechia will have an equally easy time here, considering that they have more military powers since they annexed a large portion of Slovakia. So the Czechian military will move in and move out. Vienna is quickly encircled by Czech forces, while the rest of the main military starts to flood into central Austria until eventually their objective is met. They're not going after all of Austria here like they did with all of Slovakia. Instead, they really only want the northern regions over here. So Vienna is encircled and sieged, and after a couple of weeks, they will be able to successfully take that city. And with that, Czechian troops will only move out a little bit more before demanding Austria sits down for peace, which they will. Which means that Austria will, of course, still exist after this peace treaty a lot larger than Slovakia did, and that's because Czechia did not occupy all of it. Anyway, though, let's take a look at that peace treaty. And looking at this treaty here, that is indeed true, as Austria will only lose their capital city. Well, I mean, they only lose their capital city, the most important city in their country. But still, they only lost a little bit of their northern territory over here, just giving an approximation. This is how much Czechia gained. But notably, this country now has annexed 2 capital cities, so Bratislava and Vienna, meaning that the population numbers are, of course, going to go up a lot. More people means more economy means more military, so on and so forth. This is fueling the Czechian Empire to be a lot stronger than modern-day Czechia already is. But also, I do like to throw in some buffs in these videos, just in case the country is, super weak. Czechia, I don't know if they need much of a buff, but they definitely will need a buff for the future foes they may face up north, not spoiling anything here. So yeah, Czechia is slightly buffed, but not fully. Anyway though, time for another war. Czechia will now declare war on Hungary. Hungary is the strongest country they've fought so far, but still, base Czechia before their expansions is actually stronger than Hungary. I would have never thought that, but apparently that's how it is. So the stronger version of Czechia will have a much easier time than base Czechia would, and when their military moves in, indeed we do see success here by the Czechian military. Their objectives in Hungary are pretty similar to their objectives in Austria, meaning that they don't want full annexation. Instead, they only want a few key areas of Hungary, with an emphasis over here in the western region. Now, Hungary is the strongest country they've fought so far, so there will be a considerable amount of resistance, specifically around Budapest. The Hungarians are able to secure their capital area and the entire eastern flank, but Czechia is way more focused on the western area, which is where Hungary is actually lacking in defense, meaning that when a spearhead forms straight towards Budapest from the west, Hungarians are slow to stop it, and they end up losing their capital city. From here, the Czechians will re-enter from the north and encircle a large number of Hungarian troops on the north of the border. Those troops will be captured, and the Hungarian military will start to be pushed back on all fronts. Eventually, the Czechians will set up an entire perimeter of the areas that they want to possibly annex from Hungary. They will demand that the Hungarians surrender, however, the Hungarians will refuse. From here, we actually see a successful counteroffensive in the south as the Hungarians start to move up towards their former capital city. The Czechians, however, are quick to stop it as they begin to push in from a weaker flank area, and these troops are forced to fall back because of the risk of encirclement. The Hungarians will then shift their focus over to the more eastern side of the country, which, like earlier, will have a lot of success. But once again, they are lacking in the west, which is where the Czechians are now pushing into, as they cut off the entire western area from the rest of Hungary. The Czechians will then move into this area, making any military over here surrender as they occupy the entire western portion of Hungary. But back over on the eastern front, the Hungarians are still pushing back against the Czechians in the north, however struggling to do so down in the west. As the Czechians will push in and capture this major city, the Czechians will now demand surrender, and the Hungarians, who are now losing once more, will have to accept it as they surrender over to Czechia. And just like that, the Czech Empire has taken out Hungary, and we can take a look at this peace treaty. And in this treaty here, very similar to Austria, Czechia will annex only a small region of this country as they took over the entire northern area, and also place an emphasis on the western area over here. They push all the way down to this lake down here, and they also take Budapest away from Hungary. And it kind of looks like that Czechia is maybe collecting capital cities like Infinity Stones. So they have 3 right now in Vienna, Bratislava, and Budapest. If they get 3 more, they might snap their fingers and everything is Czechia. We'll see. Anyway though, the Czech Empire has now expanded into 3 different countries: Austria, Hungary, and Slovakia over here in the east. They have taken out all of the weaker foes that they border. The only issue now is that they have a peace treaty with all of these countries and cannot invade them for now, meaning that their only options for expansion now lie in Germany and Poland. Looking at the power rankings, which aren't entirely true anymore, Czechia probably now slots in at around 35 if I had to guess, maybe 30 with the buff, which still isn't strong enough to invade either Germany or Poland. They are, however, close to Poland, meaning that if they enlisted help from a country nearby, they might be able to do it. And what countries have a history of attacking Poland and winning? You know, Poland themselves, they do have a history of being larger, specifically over here in Eastern Europe, in Belarus, Ukraine, and Lithuania, so maybe don't contact these guys because they have a history of losing. But just to the west, there's a country that's done it before and done it many times and have done it many times successfully. What if Czechia got Germany to help them in their invasion of Poland? No, of course this doesn't make sense. Germany and Poland are allies. But then again, Czechia is allies with Slovakia and Hungary, and that didn't slow them down. So a singular Czech minister will go over to Berlin, and he's like, yo, I got this crazy idea. Now, I need you to really hear me out on this one because it's gonna sound a little bit crazy, but
never miss a delivery when you use the Amazon app. No more waiting at the window or listening to the door. You'll know where your package is and when it arrives with real-time tracking and delivery notifications. What will you do with your newfound freedom? That's shopping made fast and easy, only in the Amazon app.
Hear me out on this one because it's gonna sound a little bit crazy, but I have an opportunity for your country to become a top 10 military power and to maybe restore some of that former greatness. And the German who hears that is like, whoa, what kind of former greatness? And the Czech minister reassures him, not the World War II kind of greatness, the World War I kind of greatness. You know, the German Empire with the monarch and the Ottomans? Not the Ottomans, they're not invited. Otto von Bismarck. And the Germans are like, oh, that kind of greatness. Let me think about that for a second. The Germans will think about how great they want to be, and the Czechians will reconcile within their country that will begin to build up for a possible invasion of Poland. And when the time comes, the Germans finally ask the Czechians what they need to do to be great. And Czechia says, well, you just need to help us invade Poland. And Germany's like, what? Invade Poland? Say less. Poland, I'm so sorry. So the Czechians and the Germans will now work together to invade Poland, with the Czechians having a very large offensive in the south that is aimed at Krakow, while the Germans, on the other hand, will simply enough do their thing. Yeah, we don't really need to watch this front as much. We know exactly how this is going to go. Germany, modernly, is obviously a lot stronger than Poland. Well, only recently have they become stronger than Poland. Anyway, though, Poland is sunken straight into PTSD. They go into like a vegetative state. The depression is real, the flashbacks are real, and they begin to question their self-worth. But get in the damn Ava, Poland, it's time to fight back. After Germany is successful in taking this northernmost city, Poland will finally get off its butt, and it will begin to push back the Czechians in the south, taking advantage of a much weaker opponent. And once they begin to push back against the Germans, having a counteroffensive over here that goes up towards the city, they accidentally give themselves PTSD once more, because these borders look mighty familiar. The Polish counteroffensive will completely collapse against the Germans, and with morale down in the dirt, the Czechians will once again emerge, now taking Krakow and going straight towards the capital city of Warsaw. Krakow. Yeah, cows on crack! The Czechians will utilize the Power Stone, aka Vienna, to go straight towards the capital city of Poland, and with that spearhead being successful, the Germans will now come down and give them support in holding this offensive, while around 200,000 Polish troops in the center of Poland begin to starve, as the Germans and the Czechians begin to encircle in. They will make a beeline over towards Warsaw, which is actually successful as they push in, but do lose a lot of numbers. They will liberate Warsaw, then an army group will occupy it. However, that came at the cost of all of central Poland, and now the Germans and the Czechians are fully pushing in their occupational forces. Czechia in the south will occupy all of that. We already saw Germany occupy the north, meaning that now it's once again time to capture Warsaw. It will be encircled, but before the fighting can reach the city once more, we actually see the surrender of Poland. With that being said, though, this war is over, and we can go ahead and take a look at this peace treaty, where Germany and Czechia will divide up Poland. And in this peace treaty here, we see that Czechia is doing some very questionable things in Europe. Maybe Bohemia has taken the lead in this country because they appear to be doing some HRE border-esque stuff up here. Maybe they have another plan, who knows. Still though, Germany will annex over half of Poland. They are doing their best Weimar Republic impression. I would say watch out Czechia, because you don't know if this is World War I Germany or not, but you're probably fine. Yeah, Czechia will annex southern regions of Poland, including Krakow, and they will also have an exclave up here in Warsaw. Very strange, but I guess you do you, buddy. So that would be 4 capital cities now? Anyway, with the war in Poland being a success, Czechia is now growing Very strong. So strong that now they may be violating some peace treaties. Hey, Austria, remember me? The Czechian military will begin to move into Austria and they'll surrender. Okay, well, that's probably smart. They don't want to fight Czechia again, and maybe they were doing that precautionarily because, like, you know, Germany's allied with Czechia now. I think I just made up a word. But, you know, Germany didn't join this war, so surely Austria is fine. You know, Czechia is just going to take a little bit of land, right? All right. Czechia will now annex all of Eastern Austria, and they give the rest to Germany as probably a gift, or maybe like trying to get Germany off your back because you don't know, maybe you've created a monster, like Czechia might be Frankenstein here. Germany might be trying to itch that World War II scratch, so you give them Austria to make them happy. Appeasement always works, right guys? Anyway though, time for Slovenia, the strongest country that Czechia has faced thus far. It is not Slovenia. The Czechian military will quickly move in and they will quickly secure this entire country. And the thing they wanted most here was, of course, their capital city, but also access to the Adriatic Sea, meaning that Czechia is no longer landlocked and they can finally use that navy they've been building. Would the Czechians waste resources on their navy? I don't know, but they do have sea access now, and we can go ahead and take a look at this treaty here, where the Czechians will fully annex Slovenia, fortifying that sea access, but also now fueling them to fulfill their goals as there's only one capital city left to capture, that being the capital city of Croatia. They have Ljubljana, they have Vienna, they have Budapest, they have Bratislava, and they have Warsaw. The Infinity Cities have almost all been collected, but there's just one more to capture, and that is Zagreb, which is also the hardest to capture. You see, on the surface, the Czechians are able to easily push into Croatia as they capture a lot of the coastal areas of this country. Turns out they do in fact have a navy they've been waiting to deploy, but it's becoming harder and harder to get into Zagreb, because eventually the Czechians will surround the city. However, all advancements in this war will stop as the Czechians are unable to penetrate into the fortification of Zagreb. It is at this moment that Czechia is informed that a sacrifice must be made. You see, Zagreb is the soul stone of the Infinity Cities, which means that Czechia has to make a sacrifice. If you guys don't get this reference, and this is going to be so confusing, but it's an Infinity War reference, you know, Marvel. If you don't know, then you might be uncultured. Yeah, it sounds like a you problem, actually, not a me problem. Anyway, though, Czechia has to make a sacrifice, someone that they love deeply. And so similar to what actually happened in that movie, Czechia will have to sacrifice someone that they've wronged, but someone they still love. Slovakia. So, they'll sadly sink Slovakia straight into the bottom of the ocean as Lake Slovakia is formed. But in exchange, Czechia is now able to penetrate into Zagreb, capturing the final city. Czechia is now able to penetrate into Zagreb, capturing the final city and forcing Croatia into a surrender. We can now take a look at the final peace treaty of this video, where Czechia will annex the northern areas of Croatia, meaning that they have now gathered these 6 Infinity Cities: Bratislava, the Power City; Vienna, the Space City; Budapest, the Reality City; Zagreb, the Soul City; Ljubljana, the Mind City; and Warsaw, the Time City. With all of the Infinity Cities collected, Czechia has completed its empire, and now with the snap of their fingers, the whole world will be Czechia. But wait, Germany is here to put a stop to Czechia. The itch that can never be scratched is now acting on Germany as they invade in and quickly capture multiple of the Czechian major cities. However, they make one costly mistake, and that is that first of all, they don't touch the Infinity Cities, and second of all, with the snap of their fingers, Czechia now takes over the entire world, occupying every single landmass on Earth. The Czechian Empire is now officially complete, and they can now relax and admire a grateful Earth. I am fully serious, this is 100% what would happen if Czechia formed an empire. You don't have to do any research or anything. This is 100% the truth. You saw it here first, folks. Long story short, don't let Czechia form an empire. But congratulations to them for, I think, being the first country to form an empire that encompasses the entire world. I might be wrong on that, but all you gotta do for future reference is collect the Infinity Cities, so not too hard, you just gotta get into Central Europe. Anyway, though, that is going to be the end of this video. Here's a more realistic iteration of the Czechian Empire. If you're one of those realism people that really need it, just ignore Warsaw. This is your actual Czechian Empire. For all of us that like to have fun, no, this is Czechia. If you guys did enjoy today's video, make sure to leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel if you're new,